Thank you. Well, Senator Durbin made it pretty clear today that he doesn't care about your daughter's athletic team.
That's right.
Neither does Megan Rapido, who made that perfectly clear in June. She only cares about her own soccer team. But as the mother of 3 daughters, all of whom play sports, I care very much about women's sports. And I care very much about the opportunities that sports have opened up to women and girls over the past 50 years, not just on the athletic fields, but in the boardroom, because girls who play sports do go on to achieve great things, and they learn a lot of life lessons. Being part of a team, particularly a college level team, teaches those lessons. And while it may not seem that the threat to women's sports is that great, I will tell you that in my home state of Massachusetts, where we have a state equal rights amendment, boys are allowed, in fact schools have to allow boys to play on girls' teams such as field hockey and volleyball. So my daughter's own experience was that her senior year of high school, her team played against at least 3 teams that had multiple male players. These were boys who were good athletes in other sports, hockey, lacrosse, what have you. They went out for their high school's field hockey team and they took spots from young women on the varsity roster. That has not started to happen yet at the college level, but I assure you that if the ERA is to become law of the land, that will start to happen, particularly at our state universities. And the problem with the ERA is not that it would enshrine equality into our Constitution. We already have that through the Equal Protection Clause. Men and women are legally equal in the United States, but we are not the same. And what the ERA would do is it would force courts to treat sex classifications the same way they treat racial classifications, which means, as Senator Lee said today, strict scrutiny, fatal in fact. Because there aren't reasons to keep different races apart, but there are reasons to keep men and women apart in certain situations. Whether it involves privacy, or whether it involves athletics, or whether it involves a support group at a state university, a support group for sexual assault survivors, sororities, fraternities, dorm rooms. There are all sorts of situations in which state colleges separate men and women, and we don't want that to have to change, because we understand that men and women are equal, but we are not interchangeable. So we oppose the Equal Rights Amendment. We particularly oppose this illegitimate process where the Senate is essentially trying to ram it down the throats of the American people without the American people having an opportunity to debate and weigh in on what the consequences would be this century. We had that debate last century. The proponents of the ERA lost, and they should not be able to force this into the Constitution now without the votes of the 38 states just because they're afraid to lose again.
Mm-hmm.